Welkom terug by die groot ontbyt. Ons is selfs môre met Charisse Gregory. Ons praat bietjie, sy's van Aluma Capital natuurlik, en ons praat bietjie oor finansies aan die einde van die jaar en hoe hier moet bestuur. En sy sê by Aluma Capital, ateljee, ding en beheer. Good morning, Charisse.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having me this morning. What a pleasure.
It's lovely having you. It's getting close to that silly season time. And apart from everyone worrying about shopping and gifts and holidays and that, we have to start thinking about getting our financials in order. How can people get their financials in order this close to the end of the financial year?
You know what? It's so ironic because I think everyone starts 2025, well, they start the new year so focused with a budget and a plan and a strategy. And then towards the end of the year, I think chaos just happens and people get caught up in the year and what it's been and how hectic it's kind of derived to. And long story short, people break away from their strategy and their budget. And the only way to navigate this season at the moment is to have a plan. I know no one wants to hear it, but have a plan, have a budget, and do your best to stick to it. I know it's hard.
That would be the responsible thing
at the same time. Okay.
I think it's preaching to everyone. Like we all kind of drift away from the responsible thing, like you say, the budget. But at the end of the year, it's not just about expenses. It's also about opportunities. What opportunities are there towards the end of the year normally?
You know what, Jen, there's so many opportunities during this time. So quite a few people might possibly get a 13th check. You might get some money back from the tax man. And it's a great opportunity to actually be strategic about it. It's the easiest thing in the world to go out and spend it. But whatever you spend that money on, as lovely as it is to have something new and fantastic in your life, it also makes so much sense to save because it's just, you're safeguarding your future. So that's always our advice.
Speaking about opportunities, sometimes you might see a special and think, my goodness, this is so good.
That's Black Friday special, and they're a problem.
I can't wait, but that's a trap you don't need to step in. What are these traps closer to the end of the year, financial traps, and how can we sidestep them?
I think the financial traps are in essence that by the time the year is done, I think people feel like it's been a little bit of a hard year. You know, they might feel like it's been a little bit taxing, and it's so easy to take on that mentality that says, but I deserve this. I deserve that holiday away. Of course you deserve a holiday away, but just do it within budget. You don't have to overspend. And I think that's the best advice we can give you. You know, it's so easy to step into that space of, you know, I need this, I deserve it, but rather just walk back to your budget, walk back to your plan and just try stick to it as best you can.
For people who have assets and investments towards the end of the year, if we think about opportunities, how good is it for them to think strategically about their wealth?
I think for anyone who has wealth, and by wealth, I mean, it could be 10,000 Rand, it could be 100 million Rand. It's a great time of year to actually take stock. So to sit back with your portfolio and say, well, is my portfolio serving me? The asset classes I've selected, the investment wrappers I've selected, are they correct? Are they still tax efficient? Are they in line with what my financial goals are? So it's actually a really, really nice time to sit down, reach out to your financial advisor and just take stock of how your financial portfolio has done and if it's still serving you.
Yeah, keep tabs of what's happening. Don't let it
100%.
run out from under you. But at Aluma Capital, how are you going to help people to reassess their portfolios this time of the year?
So this time of year is actually an incredibly important time for us because this is where we sit back and we review our strategy. For just as you're reviewing your financial strategy, we're reviewing ours. We look at how we deployed capital. Are we comfortable with the returns we're seeing for our clients? Did we deploy capital into emerging markets where we yielded the results we had wanted to? There's so much happening in the investment space at the moment. There's a variety of opportunities out there, and it's a really great time for us also to sit back and say, well, what trends are we looking forward to for 2026? How are we going to deploy capital, and how are we going to make sure that we create generational wealth for our investors in a space that still takes opportunities, but also doesn't dabble with too much risk.
You mentioned that generational wealth, and it is the festive season. We always think of, you know, generations, family, legacy, and at Aluma. How do you guys focus now to think about how we can make that wealth sustainable for one generation to the next?
You know what, Jen, I think our strategy has always been very, very clear. And that is that, so our funds are evergreen. So we don't need to sell out as soon as we reach a maturity phase. So we're able to do a long hold. which in our space is actually incredibly important because that's quite often where you derive those opportunities. Through that strategy, through our diversification strategy and obviously our risk strategy, we're able to create generational wealth because it's not oh, fantastic, this is an opportunity, we're going to throw a whole bunch of capital into it and hope for the best. No, that's not our strategy at all. It's a long hold and it's very calculated. And through that, we are able to create generational wealth.
I love how you mentioned that, the generational wealth. We've heard also that people live longer. So one, to look after yourself, you have to kind of be really wise about that. It is a longer hold. And then also to give to your kids or to give to whoever, is left behind. That's so important, becomes so important part of our lives.
Absolutely.
Then we have to ask, everyone asks, what can you do to keep my capital safe? Investors don't invest unless they know their capital is going to be safe and it's going to be there. And especially, like you referred to earlier, this time of year, we usually make emotional decisions. I feel I deserve this. I'm going to do that. Just why? Because I want to.
Because I can.
And I mean, if you're handing your money over to Aluma Wealth, for instance, then Aluma Capital, then you need to be sure that emotional decisions aren't made.
Absolutely. And I think that's where we work very, very closely with our investors. So we sit down at the onset and say, well, what are your intentions? What are you saving for? It's all very good and well to say, I want generational wealth. It's all very good and well to say I'm saving for a holiday or I'm trying to create an educational fund. But we actually need to understand what impacts you and moves you on a daily basis. So I think that's possibly where we do things a little bit differently. We sit down with our clients and we understand exactly what their needs are. And we then walk them into our strategy. If you invest with Aluma Capital, you know exactly where your funds are going. So if you're reading in the news, oh, fantastic, this is happening in the crypto space, you're able to sit back and go, well, actually, I know Aluma Capital invests in the crypto space. I have an understanding of that because that's what they've spoken me through in terms of my investment strategy. So that's part of the journey when it comes to investing with us. We completely incorporate clients into that space and they're part of the decision-making process.
So you're not just investing in Aluma Capital's name. You're investing in specific markets and specific segments in your portfolio.
Absolutely. Specific companies, you know what those companies are. You can go view the companies. You know what those industries are. You know exactly how those industries are impacted. And that's what's so beautiful about private equity. You're not tied into something like the JSE, which is going to fluctuate and move up and down as soon as our president does this, or there's a change, or there's some summit. With private equity, you completely ring-fence. It's actually quite a safe space to be in from an investment point of view, which is quite clearly why I'm so passionate about it.
Charisse, you guys have a 13.2 private equity product. What makes this so unique?
So I think, quite obviously, the return of 13.2%. I think obviously a lot of investors came out of COVID a little bit concerned about what the markets had done during that time. And all of a sudden you phone up your financial advisor and he's like, yeah, but did you see what the markets did? Of course your return is like 3%, 4%. Like, what is that? That offers zero value. So yes. I think, firstly, it is our flagship product. It does have an incredibly high return of 13.2%. What's really, really great about that specific product of ours is the investment strategy there. So that is an evergreen fund of ours, which is what we spoke about a little bit earlier. It's not a short hold. You're not going into that for 5 years and knowing that we need to start offlaying assets when it comes to year 3. Because it's that evergreen strategy, we're able to sit and hold those investments as long as we need to. And because of that, we're seeing that level of return come through in the portfolio. I must be honest, it's been an absolute delight watching that product range and how it's grown. And as I say, it's actually now our flagship.
Just out of interest, you say evergreen investment. What's the kind of period you're looking at then, investing in something like that?
You know what? For us, it completely depends on the opportunity. It depends on what we deployed it into. So quite a lot of asset managers will deploy capital into something and say, okay, cool, fantastic. Your investment term most likely is about 5 years, all right?
Yeah.
So they know they need to start offlaying assets around about year 3 to beginning of year 4 to create that level of liquidity. From our side, because it's evergreen, we can do that, or we can have that hold in the portfolio as long as we need to. Now, understand that could, let's say we have started investing in these tables. We know that the time it takes for us to move a table like this could be 5 years. So then we will sit on that investment for 5 years. We can sit on that investment for 10 years. It all depends on the industry. We're very weighted in crypto at the moment. It's a very interesting emerging market. There you're seeing returns fairly quickly, whereas something in agriculture, something in mining, which we also invested in, is very definitely a longer hold.
Wow, that is interesting. How do people come in contact with you guys? What's the first step if they want to do business with Aluma Capital?
I think the important first step would be to actually just reach out to our financial advisors. Aluma Capital, it's an unbelievable company, it's a brilliant company, but before you even consider investing in private equity, you need to sit down with someone, and that person needs to understand what's important to you. Why are you investing? What's driving you? What is your tax status? How many children do you have? Are you needing to focus on education, or are you at a point that you're now focusing on retirement? So the most important thing would actually be to come through to our offices. We're based in Linwood. We can have one of our financial advisors go out and meet you. And I think just a conversation at first, just to understand what your needs are.
Thank you so much, Reese, for joining us this morning.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Nou ja, daar is dit Charisse Gregory van Aluma Capital. Eerste stap sê hulle is kom praat net met ons. So indien jy enigstens met hulle wil gesels, kan jy die woord Aluma SMS na 47766. Aluma na 47766, R2 per SMS en besenfees geld.